If you come in our office as a new team member or a new vendor, we have a tunnel. It's a tunnel entrance. We have smoke machines and lights, and we have confetti cannons.
We have definitely forgotten to have fun as adults. I think life gets hard and things get serious, and people haven't figured out how to balance both.
We've mastered the art of celebration. We've figured it out in sports, education, even family. Why do we struggle to do this well in a professional context? We spend more than half our waking hours with colleagues, sharing laughter, shedding tears, experiencing wins, battling losses, together. What if, as entrepreneurs and business leaders, we were the best at celebrating? God calls us to create. He also invites us to celebrate in the businesses we build with the people who matter.
Growing up now, looking back in hindsight, I've always been an entrepreneur. It's always been part of my DNA. I always like to start things, sell things, talk to people about big ideas. But the entrepreneur didn't fit too neatly in a religion major seminary box. If you wanted to go into ministry, there was kind of one path, and the entrepreneurs weren't quite on that path. After my baseball career ended, I started doing the one-on-one baseball lessons, which led to my first business called All Sports Tutoring. So I had this internal tension between wanting to change the world, make a difference, doing that in the lives of the students that I was giving baseball lessons to, talking about universal truths and lasting values. And at the same time, the business was growing, and that was super exciting for me. Fast forward a year, as a 21-year-old in college, I had about 6 part-time employees and about 300 kids that I was giving lessons to. And it was super thrilling watching something grow, knowing I could make an impact and grow a business. I'll never forget the day I had the idea for the Booster-a-thon Fun Run. I was a 21-year-old college student in Birmingham, Alabama, and I had previously played college baseball. I was giving a baseball lesson to an elementary student. Right before that lesson began, he handed me a catalog for a school fundraiser to buy wrapping paper and cookie dough, and I thought there's got to be a better way to do elementary school fundraising. After that baseball lesson was over, I called my mom, a lifelong educator. I got her perspective on school fundraising. I realized how much non-academic work went in for educators to spend time organizing fundraisers. Our first school was far more successful than we thought. They profited over $20,000. They were expecting $4,000. So that began 3 years of my wife and I driving all over the country serving schools. She was pregnant, we were working day and night. We'd wake up at 4 a.m. and we'd drive from Kentucky to Florida, and we'd put on a pep rally, and then we'd drive to Alabama for a fun run. We were serving schools wherever they were, doing whatever it took. We knew the idea had so much potential. We saw the impact that it had, and we wanted to make a difference. When we moved to Atlanta, made our first official hire, first full-time employee. That was next level. It was okay, I'm now responsible for a paycheck of another person. And that season was like scale stage. And we went from my basement, year 3, me and my wife, to 100 employees probably over the next 5 years.
The villain of a fundraiser would be the frequency of fundraisers. And that's really where Booster comes in. And what we do is to say, hey, you don't have to do a fundraiser every month. Just do one, have it be a blast, have people either come onto your campus or let's resource you to do it yourself. Have so much fun with it with your students, create memories, and raise all the money that your school budget needs for the whole year. What we're capitalizing on is an experience, a fun memory that you're getting to create for your students at your school.
In 2019, I looked as people would come to our office, they'd see our values on the wall. But over time, and as the organization grew, our new team members, I kind of saw their eyes gloss over. What I also saw was these words, these values used in other companies whose values we did not share. So I thought, maybe in the next couple years, we need to revisit and revise and really just refresh our values. I stumbled upon an ancient word that's not used enough today called virtue. Virtues are timeless, they're aspirational, they're actionable, and they're personal as much as they are professional. So I decided then, you know what? We're not gonna have just company values anymore. Let's refresh them and have company virtues. Let's have words that define not just who we are as a culture, but who we wanna be, an aspirational aspect. And not just who we were professionally, but who we wanted to be personally. 6 booster virtues are gratitude, wisdom, care, courage, grit, and celebration.
There is an energy to working at Booster that I do think is different. As Booster has grown, I've been able to see that high energy is less about high energy and more about intention behind relationships and coming to work at a place that you want to be, so therefore you are excited. And I think based on people's personalities, that just looks different for different people. There are some people that love to be the quote-unquote life of the party, and there are the people that love to sit back and look for opportunities to be intentional with their fun and celebration in the workplace as well.
I think people sometimes feel like celebration is either fickle or self-centered. There's a sense which you have to put yourself out there. You have to ding, 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 raise the glass. You got to toast somebody. You got to be the one that stands up. I mean, that's, the office is kind of similar to a birthday dinner. Someone's got to bang the glass and say, I want to propose a toast. And the toast, if done right, is about the other person. Here's what they've accomplished, or here's who they are. Let me brag on them. So it takes courage. And I think what gets celebrated gets reproduced. So all of a sudden, it becomes infectious. When people start to celebrate others, then they start to look for great things. And if you celebrate the right things, those right things start to happen more and more often. An incredible cultural momentum is created.
When people want to come to work, there is a competitive advantage. I think there's such a difference between showing up to your 9 to 5 that you're just getting a paycheck compared to showing up because I'm doing work that's meaningful, I'm doing it with people that I enjoy, I can be myself at work. The more people you have focused on your mission, heading in the right direction, and that alignment that comes with that, the more successful you're gonna be and the more impact you're gonna be able to make.
This is what we do for clients all over the country. We like to celebrate students and schools and acknowledge and observe people doing amazing things. Well, we want to do that here. So we want people's first day in the office. As soon as they come through, we say, don't just show up at 9 o'clock. We want you to show up at 9 o'clock, stay in your car, we'll come and greet you. We have the office line up, the music's playing, the smoke machines are going, the team is cheering, confetti cannons are popping. Sometimes team members start to clean up and we say, no. Let the confetti sit all day long. I want people to observe the messy confetti on the floor. Today, a celebration happened, and it happened right here. So creating the culture that celebrates one another is one of the most empowering things you can do for people. It creates human flourishing, it creates retention, it creates storytelling, it creates a redemptive business. We were up and to the right for about 15 years until March 13th, 2020. So going into COVID in January, February of 2020, I was about to turn 40. So I was doing a lot of reflecting of my 30s, looking ahead to my 40s. Lord, how do you want to use me and Booster for the next decade? And I've very clearly thought and felt and heard from the Lord and mentors that he's going to use our culture and multiply it. Great, Lord, multiply our culture. Okay, our culture's special, so that's probably gonna mean some podcasts and books and some exciting stuff. March 13th, however, began 173 days of zero revenue. COVID was the most disruptive event, more than we could possibly imagine. The nation's schools shut down. We had $20 million in revenue coming in over the next 2 months, and that got canceled. In late July, we had to make the super challenging, difficult decision to reshape and resize the company. We had to furlough or let go 85% of our team members. So we had about 900 beforehand. We had to go down to 143 team members. But if there's one thing that keeps me up at night, that I think about the most, is when I know I have to make a people decision, which is the most important decision. It's also the most challenging, and I do not enjoy it. I hope you never enjoy it. I don't think any boss ever enjoys it. And that was extremely difficult and challenging. I thought, well, this doesn't make sense. I thought this was the decade of impact, and Lord's gonna multiply our culture. Our culture's almost dead. And what happened about 6 months later, as some of these amazing team members that worked for us got other jobs and then got promoted, I would start to get texts, emails, or even run into them. And they'd say, hey, I know that was super tough. I know I didn't want to leave. I know the last year was challenging. I just want to let you know, I got a new job. I've been promoted twice. I'm making money. I'm having an unbelievable impact. And you're not going to believe it. The culture that exists now at my company, I'm having an opportunity to create and to help redeem and to talk about virtues and to make a huge impact. So the Lord answered my prayer of multiplying our culture totally in the opposite way. I thought it was going to be me writing a book or speaking or something. And the Lord scattered 700 team members to organizations all over the country. And now they're building and multiplying a redemptive culture in their environment, which is how the Lord works in a way that's different than we view it. That fall, we survived it. And then in the spring, we adapted and continued. And the last 3 years have been challenging. The school landscape has changed in lots of ways, but in many ways, we're larger, bigger, and more impactful, and more team members than we had before COVID. The stat that I'm most proud of in this season is that 10% of America's elementary students will participate in our program. I love the reach and the impact. And that did not happen overnight. We were stalled out and stuck so many different times. So if an entrepreneur is listening to this and they just feel stuck, I have felt that so many times as recently as a few months ago. There's just this idea of long obedience in the same direction and the idea that, hey, this is what I've been given to steward, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability for as long as I can, and just watch what God does over 5, 10, 20, 50 years. This is our one life to live, and we're going to spend the majority of our life at work. And it's the entrepreneur's responsibility, job, calling, greatest joy to create a culture that people want to come to and be at, so that the engagement of their work, the retention of their talents, the display of their creativity is in full force. So I have the opportunity, the responsibility to create an environment, to co-create it, to cultivate the workplace in such a way that it brings out the best in others. And one of the best ways I know to do that is to celebrate moments that matter. And it could be first day, it could be first sale. Usually it's first or last or biggest, but sometimes it could be something small, the way someone treated somebody, the way they went above and beyond for a customer or a team member. And I want to find it, shout it out, and celebrate it. Because doing so, I'm acknowledging the enthusiasm, the God within, the creativity inside somebody. Believe it or not, hey, look what you did, and that was powerful, and that made a difference and changed the world. And there's nothing like a founder, an entrepreneur, or CEO, or the leader saying, here's what I saw that you did well, and I just want to call it out and thank you for doing it. But in doing so, I feel like that's one of the greatest ways we can cultivate the workplace, the work environment, build a culture that ultimately redeems and changes the world.